Well, it's often said that the weatherman's favourite word is changeable. It covers a multitude of sins, but it's also a word which describes the southeast over the past decade. There have been changes in our way of life undreamed of when our programme began. And the pace of change has been greater here than in any other part of the country. Let's relive some of the most significant changes of the coast-to-coast years.
A typical Sunday in the southeast in 1992. You might go to a boot fair, something unheard of 10 years ago. Or you could pop to the supermarket and do your weekly shopping. You might well be wearing a brightly coloured shell suit, and you'll almost certainly be wearing trainers. Roads that were empty on Sundays in 1982 are now almost as busy as during the week. Stop for some unleaded petrol. Vanished. In 1982, 5,000 people were employed in the Kent coalfield. And they've hauled down the flag at Chatham Dockyard, where ships had been built and repaired for 400 years. And traditional South Coast seaside resorts have been feeling the pinch. These days they're centres for day trips or long weekends, rather than traditional family holidays. And anyway, more and more of us have headed for Gatwick and package holidays abroad. In fact, our leisure time has been transformed. Who had a video back in 1982? Who could work out how to work out? Who'd been in one of these things? Or on one of these things? And who'd have thought phone boxes would ever look like this? And who'd have thought most of them would work? So, what's happened to the people of the southeast over the coast-to-coast years? Professor Richard Skase from the University of Kent.
They become wealthier, they become less parochial, they're more travel conscious, they're more discriminating, they're more concerned about their environment, and on the whole, they're a much more sophisticated population than they were 10 years ago.
Even the colour of the region has changed. In the 80s, the southeast began to turn yellow every summer as farmers cashed in on euro subsidies for oilseed rape. And now there's set aside, earning you ECUs for growing nothing at all, apart from a few old weeds. Perhaps the biggest money spinner, though, has been golf. New courses have sprung up all across the southeast countryside. The game's so popular, people will get up in the middle of the night to make sure of a place on the first tee. But the biggest change to life in the region is still 12 months away. Back in 1982, the Channel Tunnel was just a silly pipe dream, abandoned because of the cost years earlier. But now the tunnel's been built, and the southeast is waiting to see what the benefits for the region will be. Professor Roger Vickerman.
Oh, I don't think really the Channel Tunnel has ever been seen as a universal panacea. It's certainly going to be necessary in terms of the increased amount of traffic going between the UK and the rest of continental Europe. But I don't think that it will solve all of the problems. And of course, as it generates traffic, it generates new traffic problems as well. And we're not actually going to see an enormous amount of new business being attracted just because of the Channel Tunnel. Going to need something else to make it come here as well.
And at the moment, the southeast needs all the help it can get. The economic boom of the 80s is over. The region is now suffering its worst ever recession. Is there light at the end of the tunnel?